Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see about the psychological approach in relation to literature and psychological theory. After the 19th century, most writers were acquainted with ideas of Freud. A. Brill translated into English three contributions to the theory of sex in 1910 and the interpretation of dreams in 1912. And in 1910, Dr. Ernest Jones published his interpretation of Hamlet from a Freudian point of view. Literary naturalism presented an image of man as a victim of his environment and biology. But Freudian ideas offered a scientific terminology by which we can interpret man's bondage to his libidinous compulsions or to the repressions society forced upon him. The Freudian judgment, which says that man is sick rather than villainous, actually fits neatly with the naturalist refusal to condemn a being who was not responsible but was the dupe of natural and preterhuman forces. Psychology likewise seemed to give sanction to the romantic impulse towards self-expression and the exploitation of the perverse. Much of the madness of the French symbolist and the experimentalist who followed them could now be regarded as the method of the unconscious. Writers of both romantic and realistic persuasions were encouraged to probe deeper in their dramatizations of human situation. The impact of psychology upon creative literature was strengthened by the additional influence of Adler's concept of the inferiority complex and Jung's theory of the collective unconsciousness. The works of Lawrence, Mann, Sherwood Anderson, and others have been studied by F.J. Hoffman in Freudianism and the literary mind. And psychology had its influence in the writings of May Sinclair, Joyce, Catherine Mansfield, Graham Greene, and Dylan Thomas. This new field of knowledge for illumination seems to have been the enlistment of the new science in the war against the past, particularly the Puritan culture in America and the Victorian in England. Randolph Bourne's The Puritan Will to Power is an attempt to destroy with the aid of psychology those traditional values which the neo-humanists were concerned to salvage. The flourishing use of psychology literary criticism began with Conrad Aiken's Skepticism's Notes on Contemporary Poetry. Max Eastman and Floyd Dell, as editors of the masses, helped to popularize the psychological approach. In England, Robert Graves wrote from the new point of view, although his point of view was an application of W.H. River's theory of the conflict of unconscious personalities. And Herbert Read pleaded for the use of romanticism. The application of psychological knowledge to art can generate three kinds of illumination. First, as I.A. Richards has illustrated, the new field provides a more precise language with which to discuss the creative process. In Principles of Literary Criticism, Richards analyzed the constituents of the aesthetic experience following the definition he and his collaborators Ogden and Wood had established earlier. That is, beauty is that which is conducive to syn-aesthetic equilibrium. That is, a particular harmonious kind of response in the audience brought about by the stimulus of a work of art. The use to which his kind of analysis has been put can be seen in Kenneth Burke's essay Antony in Behalf of the Play, in which he examines the unconscious relations between writer and reader. A second application goes back, as Edmund Wilson has pointed out, to literary biography, to the study of the lives of authors as a means of understanding their art. The criticism that employs this approach assumes that an important part of the relationship between artist and art is similar to that between patient and dream. Assumes that, as D.H. Lawrence put it, the writer has shed his sickness in his books. Essays in Wilson's The Wound and the Bow exemplify how effectively this approach can be used to lead us to understand not only the personal problems of writers but also the underlying patterns of their writings. Third, psychology can be used to explain fictitious characters. F.L. Lucas in Literature and Psychology provides numerous instances from life which clarifies the actions and reactions of created characters who might otherwise be puzzling or implausible. The critic becomes a psychoanalyst searching for the subconscious patterns which motivate a character. The classic example is Ernest Jones' study of Hamlet, in which he expands a theory he had sketched in 1910. Dr. Jones provides an answer to the puzzle of Hamlet's delay in avenging his father. an answer that could certainly not be easily expressed before the development of Freudian psychology. The effect that such an approach to literature can make up the interpretation of art can be seen almost as remarkable in the numerous psychological studies of Henry James' The Turn of the Screw, beginning with Edna Kenton's essay in 1924. Attacks upon the psychological approach have been of two sorts. One charge is oversimplification. Van Wyck Brooks' Ordeal of Mark Twain and Lewis John's Expression America have both been attacked on these grounds. Another criticism is that art is significantly different from dream. The artist is largely in control of his product as the dreamer is not. Lionel Trilling and Kenneth Burke have aimed to define the uses and limits of psychology for both writer and critic. One branch of psychological criticism deals with the unconscious, not of the individual writer or character, but of the race or culture. This approach has relations with another field of knowledge, that is social anthropology, and therefore is best considered under the heading the archetypal approach. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.